And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia 208. I hope everything is working well. Hope everything sounds good. Smooch, Papi Smooch. I hope everything is working well here. Just had a couple of issues on my end, but hopefully it is all working as intended, as we have returned with our weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of our Kione, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Mystery Gaming. It is Bunny. What just happened? Oh. There it is. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the other South Korean Protoss, the blue Protoss player representing Maturino Esports, as I love the music a little bit. It is NightMare. Here we go. Again, I do apologize for the delayed start to the stream. I did have a couple of just technical issues on my end that are still ongoing. I hope we don't change regions in this tournament. I wish the best to Showtime, but I hope we don't have to play on the Americas. Essentially, it just like files are being moved around, and I had to reset all my settings and reset all my hotkeys, and everything had to be reset. And again, hopefully everything is okay. Everything should be resolved by tomorrow, ideally. Yeah, we'll get on it. We will get on it. Regardless, we're here with our weekly dose of StarCraft again. Happy New Year's, everyone! Happy New Year's! Oh my God, it's the first. I mean, we were live last night when it ticked over to New Year's. But regardless, Happy New Year's to all, as I believe we should be over in the new year for every single time zone, for every single region. So everyone has been doing well. Feliz Navidad, okay? Feliz Año Nuevo, papi. Feliz Año Nuevo. As we are diving into our first series, exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. We will go over the bracket momentarily after we wrap up this best of 3. And until then, we have our lovely Terran and Protoss keeping us company. And I'm excited. Bunny is a rarity. Bunny rarely does compete in these online events. He mainly competes in World Team League. Outside of that, he's not very active, so I'm very excited to see him up against NightMare. Bunny is always really hard to judge when it comes to how powerful or how strong, how in form he is, so I'm ready for it. Reaper going to be dipping into the main base, does scout the opener, does get eyes on the Stargate, so we are aware of the tech of choice. NightMare, of course, going to be going for a much more standard opener. Stargate should be going to Phoenixes. We'll see if he goes into Oracles for something a little bit more spicy, more aggressive. We shall see. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I see Helgi in the chat. Hi, Stan. Talimo as well. Andy Jin. Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Dad, go my Stan. So I have to maybe mess around with the in-game settings later on as well. We'll do our best. We'll do our best. As we have our own opener as well. Again, Bunny did go for something a little bit more economic. Went for a Rax expand into a 1-1-1 follow-up. No like add-on swap for reactor cyclones or anything like that. Reaper dips in once again, does get eyes on the first unit of choice. Big scout from Bunny. The adept was unable to deny the Reaper scout. We should eventually hunt this down. We should lose a probe, as we also have another adept here on the low ground. Reaper does dive in. Hellion as well. We get into the middle line. We're looking for some probes. We do get one. One probe does go down, and finally the Reaper does fall. But again, the big scout was when the Reaper got into the main base, when the Reaper did confirm the Phoenix, not the Oracle, on the way. So we are fully aware of the Phoenix space play here in the early game. Bunny knows. Bunny's getting ready. Bunny pushes out. Oh, Bunny. Does run into a wall of adepts, so not the best move here. Marines are coming in to support. It's going to be close as we do drop that Cyclone. Does barely manage to escape. Marines in position. We commit to the shade. We shut down the Cyclone for 1, maybe 2 adepts. A good trade for NightMare. Very nice trade here behind this. Bunny getting into the rest of his production, getting into 2 more Raxes, getting into a bit of a 3-1-1 setup here. Being solid on these 2 bases. Likewise, behind this, we do have a Twilight Council follow-up from NightMare, so it looks like it is not going to be Phoenix Colossus, which is what I assumed it would be. It's going to be Phoenix into, I imagine, Charge Lots instead. Phoenixes are marauding in between the bases, looking to pick off whatever they can. They do manage to get an SCV. Oh. Ooh, but not for free here, as we do take a lot of hull damage. Both Phoenixes will barely be able to escape. The Adepts have arrived. NightMare just not stopping with his aggression. No bunker on the low ground. Uh-oh. Without a bunker, we can dive on top of the Marines. The Marines are going down one after the other, and NightMare, he's breaking through. He cancels the shade. A lot of Marines are going to be going down. Stim is not done. Bear that in mind. These are vanilla Marines. They're going to be able to shut this down eventually, but these have been good trades for NightMare. As he will finally be losing these adepts. Oh, we don't shade? Oh, going to be losing every one of these adepts, actually. It will be cleaned up. Phoenixes are still being active behind this. As I mentioned, it is charge. Reason why I said charge is because Blink and Phoenixes have the same role, the same purpose. Typically, you don't double up on both of them, so that's why we assumed it would be charge. Into Archon, of course. So charge or Archon. Phoenix is the combination of choice. We only have a couple of Phoenixes here for map control, and we've been taking a lot of damage. You have to be very careful with the movement from NightMare. Ten cuidado, papi. Ten cuidado. Get a couple of hits in. And it looks like we do shut down the Viking. Very limited anti-air. There is a Widowmine borrowed on the low ground, but so far, NightMare, he does back off. I spoke too soon. No! Ooh, big mine shot to the face. One Phoenix goes down. We're down to 2. Which is concerning again. As the Phoenix count gets lower, that does give access to Bunny to be more active on the map with his drop play. Speaking of a Marine drop across the map, going to delay the third base. We get a feedback, but not too much DPS is dealt. Not too much damage is dealt to that medevac. As Bunny's pushing through the center, Phoenixes are getting distracted. Good target firing. Another Phoenix goes down. Stim is done. Yeah, we're going to be able to unload on the low ground at the same time. Drop towards the right-hand side. Oh, no, never mind. We're going to be pulling back. We think better of it. Looks like maybe Bunny was scouted, so NightMare's getting in position. Yeah, Bunny does pull back. A singular Marine drop dipping into the main. Dipping into the natural, even. A Storm is on the way, so it's not just Charge or Archon, but we are relying on Storm for our splash damage of choice. NightMare was being very aggressive earlier, but now he is going to be taking a bit of a backseat here as the drop slips into the natural. NightMare a bit out of position, did not see this drop coming. We get 6 probes. Oh my god. Again, good target firing out of Bunny. He will be cleaned up, but against 6 workers for 1 drop, pretty good damage. It wasn't just 6 workers, it was also forcing the Phoenixes back home, getting a couple of Phoenix kills, trading well with the army, delaying the third base. A lot was achieved with that drop, other than just the worker kills. Behind this, third base is being taken, being landed on location. Marauder count is getting higher and higher. We're on a 5-rack setup, pretty standard here on 3 bases. We're not going for a big 3-base all-in or anything like that. We're just building up quite nicely here on these 3 CCs. And NightMare has lost map control for quite some time here. Is stuck at home, so far in position to have a mine drop, but Phoenixes, they are going to be missing it. Only 2 Widow Mines, so hopefully we're able to react in time. We do have a shield battery, we have a couple of zealots. At the same time, I love that Bunny's pushing through the middle. He's going to be distracting NightMare, keeping his attention here in the center of the map while the drop comes in. Does NightMare have the reaction here? The reaction time. Split up between his bases, and here we go. He does go for the drop into the main. NightMare, is he paying attention? He is. He does pull back. So far, good reaction out of NightMare. Only 2 probes go down. The main army pushing through. Now, bearing in mind, we have Storm. And we have 4 High Templar, each with at least 1 Storm. So Bunny has to be very careful when it comes to pushing into this. He doesn't have any Ghost. I believe doesn't. He does have a Ghost Academy, but no Ghost yet. Double drop into the main base, scans the main army, gets eyes on it. Here we go, we do go for the drops. Also going to be cleaned up at the same time, pushing on the left-hand side, keeping NightMare distracted. Widow Mines are not going to be able to reset. Looks like they did go up on Zealots, not on Probes. And this drop, we can threaten some of the sectors or some of the production, but yeah, we should be able to shut this down. Only a handful of Marauders, they are going to be unloaded, and not too much anti-air. The medevacs, oof. Widow Mine shot goes off. Only 2 Phoenixes left. Rest of the army coming in, but here come the Storms. Oh no! Big Storms on the army. We do pick up, we do get the hell out of there just barely in time. Whew. These medevacs so very low. But we do escape with most of the army. Still have a mine resetting in the main. Ooh, getting a Stalker. And we're not done. Behind all of this, Bunny has been macroing, Bunny has been transitioning. We do have Ghosts. This is what we've been missing. The answer to those High Templar. Storms are terrifying, but EMPs can be better. They can be. Again, does come down to the control, does come down to unit micro here of our 2 players. Oh my god, no fear. These medevacs are still so very low. We go for the drop anyway, and we think better of both Phoenixes. No! We get 1 medevac. We get the 2nd, and we get the 3rd as well. Big pickoffs. Meanwhile, the mines! Whew, that could have been so much worse. There are 32 probes here. 6 workers do go down. We have 2 more mine shots here ready to go off here at the 3rd. Going up on Zealots. That could have been disastrous. Bunny will retreat. And what's important is that Bunny, he has been losing a couple units here and there. He's been mainly losing medevacs, actually. So we look at the unit source tab, 7 medevacs, handful of marines, but he's been preserving his army for the most part. He's been preserving his marauders. He's been building it up, and now here we go. We're pushing out. Now, despite Bunny being up in army supply, and he is up 30 supply, by the way, he has a lot of momentum, the storms are still terrifying. We still have to respect them. Again, 4 High Templar in this War Prism. Bunny has to be so careful. Rotating over towards the left-hand side, does run into the Zealots. Where are the storms? Up from behind the EPs! We connect! Only 1 storm goes off. That was a big storm, though. Even some friendly fire with the Widow Mines. 3 High Templar were EMP'd, but the 4th did get the storm off. Regardless, we are breaking through. Bunny, he breaks through the main army. Another storm here as well does connect. But Bunny's rallying everything across the map. There's barely anything to defend. There's 1 Colossus and a handful of Stalkers. NightMare plummeting in supply. And we gotta go. We gotta send it, Bobby. Goes for the scan, sees the lack of 4th base. Bunny's gonna be feeling pretty good about that because Bunny's on a 4-base economy. Bunny up in economy, up in supply. His supply, though, very battered, very bruised. That's a lot of medevacs. We've been losing a lot, so we've been replacing them quite a bit. Now to 2 Colossi. Hopefully from here we go into Vikings. There we go. Viking production has commenced. We are up to how many? 9 medevacs. So we are soon to have 1 storm available. 2 of the High Templar with barely any energy, but the other is, there we go, 1 storm. There's 1 storm with this army. Zealot run back coming in, but there's a planetary in position. We have Widow Mines as well. Yeah, Bunny, he's going to be reacting, rotating over to defend. Bunny does move it over towards the right-hand side. Likewise, NightMare getting in position. Big Colossus wipes. A decent EMP, but we have a shield battery, soon to be an overcharge if given enough time. But Bunny is maxed out. Remember, winding it back, Bunny almost died earlier this game. It was brutal, it was crazy. Bunny did survive. Here come the storms. Now we have 3. EMP does connect with the prism itself. Getting very low. Spending all that shield battery energy. Vikings coming in. And can we focus it down? We can. Sold EMP. 1 storm does connect, but only 1 storm. That's all we had. And we just mine drop on top of the main army as well. Mine shot's going to be going off. Big connections. But we are running out of fire. We're trying to break on through. We're trying to dive on the Colossi, but the Colossi live. The Colossi do live. Bunny is forced back. NightMare does hold. Just barely. These Colossi so low. And again, a lot of the supply here from Bunny is elsewhere, right? In his SCVs, in his economy. Bunny still building up. Can he break us? But I mean, this next attack is going to be brutal. The reality is that these Colossi, they're hanging on by a thread. We may have an overcharge in time, but we are still lacking a little bit of energy there. Storms. 4 High Templar each. Soon to have 1 storm. Bunny rotating over towards the right-hand side, looking for a way in. He has been so on point with his EMPs. Like, I should emphasize as well, even though every time there's like a single storm that goes off, out of 4 High Templar, they get EMP'd. Once again, 1 storm. The Prism gets sniped. That was it. 0 High Templar left. Like, NightMare can always get 1 storm off, but out of 4 High Templar, we're looking for much more. NightMare has been having a really hard time preserving his High Templar and actually getting value out of them. And here we go, Bunny pushing up the ramp. Vikings going to be popping up. Finally, the Colossi going to be going down. Only 1 Colossi remains. We're pushing up this ramp. We're forcing our way in. Dive on top of the army, and that is going to be it here. GG gets called, and Bunny will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. Bunny does take the first game, but that was a close one. Remember, winding it back, Bunny was in control for the second half of that game, but for the first half, Bunny was up against the wall. He was hurting. He was getting, again, torn left and right by the Adept Phoenix aggression of NightMare, but NightMare wasn't able to break his opponent. Wasn't able to break him, and then suddenly the momentum swung in Bunny's favor. The map control swung in Bunny's favor, and did not let it go. GG. And with that, we're getting ready for game number 2. I see in the chat, hi peeps, this is the first cup of 2024. It is not our first broadcast of 2024. Last night we were live, and with our live broadcast, we ticked over into the New Year's, and we had like a viewer replay cast, I guess, for our first cast of 2024. But this is the first tournament, the first event of the year, and we're here for it. The beginning of something special. Again, we had an amazing 2023. I think I mentioned it last night. We casted 475 times in 365 days. 475 broadcasts in the year. Crazy. And I want to outdo myself. I want to reach that 500. Let's go. Non-stop casting here on the CranKy Ducklings. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to put in the work. Do my best. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner. We have our South Korean Terran player leading the series 1-0. Representing Mystery Gaming, it is Bunny. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Maturino Esports. It is NightMare. Again, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Good. Oh, good. Good to see everyone once again. Whew. And yeah, the beginning of something special here, as January is jam-packed full of StarCraft. We don't just have the Open Cups, we also have Masters Coliseum, which I think is starting this week. We have very little room to breathe. Let me just double check. Masters Coliseum starting, no, not this week. Starting the week of the 13th. So in a couple of weeks' time, we have Christmas Cups coming up. We have a New Year's event that we're going to be covering in a couple of days as well. We have World Team League coming back this week. ESL Open Cup Americas later on today. Speaking of, I usually don't cast ESL Open Cup Europe, but if there's no one casting, then I may have to. I think people letting us know that there's no one else casting in English today, which is really weird. I mean, I guess it's New Year, so maybe people are busy. But if there's no English coverage for Europe later on tonight, we might try to cast it. I'm most likely going to be very tired. But if there's no like Wardy, if there's no Rotterdam, if there's no Zombie Grub or any of the other English casters for ESL Open Cup EU, then I'll set an alarm and I'll do my best to cast. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. As we are going to be settling into this. And so far, so good. We do have another economic opener out of Bunny going for a Rax expand into his factory. So a single gas opener. So very economic from our Terran player. Meanwhile, across the map, NightMare is just going for what looks to be a standard opener himself. Gate expand into the Cybercore. Nothing too wild yet. I guess what I should be pointing out as, we do pick off one of those probes. Oh, but the Reaper, does it get picked off? Barely does escape. Whew. Almost an overextension. We have our take of choice. Stargate is thrown down once again, 2 games in a row, but this time Bunny is unawares, and he won't find out anytime soon until his Reaper does regenerate its HP, and we go back in for a second scout. What was I getting at? Alright, important to point out that Bunny did open up economically. This has become very common amongst the Korean Terrans. I know that in general, double gas openers are a little bit more common amongst other Terran players out there, just to be a little bit more aggressive and assertive. But players like Bunny, players like Cure, Byun, they're not really of that mindset, not anymore. Double gas used to be very trendy in Korea, nowadays a little bit less so. Here we go. We do have the Reaper coming into the main base. I should emphasize that actually eBay blocks have been really popular in recent times in TvP. But we're not getting that here, as we do get a full scout off. The Reaper does go down, but we get eyes on the Phoenix. We get eyes on the Stargate. And just like the previous game, Twilight comes a follow-up. So this is for those that are curious, this is the exact same build of NightMare from game 1. The exact same build, going for a Phoenix opener into charge lots, into a third base. This is what we saw in game 1. And we'll see if, I mean, Bunny, he's already tightening up his defenses. If you remember, last game, Bunny skipped his bunker. He skipped his bunker, which is why the initial Phoenix Adept Aggression got a lot of damage done. It was vanilla Adepts, I think it was like 4 or 5 Adepts alongside the Phoenixes, and they were able to really make Bunny sweat just because he was cutting corners. This time, taking it seriously. This time, he doesn't want to get caught out. Hello, Monsieur Medevac. Behind this, we're just getting into our 3-1-1 setup. 3 axes, 1 factory, 1 starport. Alright, getting there, going for our add-on swaps as well. Looks like this time there isn't going to be a mine drop. We have since skipped the widow mines, but we do have a reactor on this factory, so we'll see if we do commence that mine production to get into some mine harass. Aliens are moving out, trying to get a scout up, to get eyes on the adepts. As I mentioned before, again, Charge Archon into Storm is what we went for in game 1. Looking very similar here in game number 2 from NightMare. Back at home, we're just taking a defensive stance. Because of all those Phoenixes, we have Marines in the natural, we have Marines and Cyclones in the main, and there are those Widow Mines on the way. Now, this is a really risky maneuver. It's a very high risk, high reward. Reason why I say this, because it's a Phoenix opener, the law dictates in StarCraft esports, in TvP, that it is illegal to go for a mine drop because there are Phoenixes. Like, you're crazy, Bob. You're gonna go for a mine drop when your opponent has Phoenixes on the map? Do you really think you can get past him? And I mean, Bunny did last game. Bunny did get past these Phoenixes, did manage to pull off quite a few mine drops and killed quite a lot of workers. Oh, I love this. Hiding the, initially hiding the Widow Mines underneath that Cyclone. But, yeah, as a result, going for a mine drop is a really risky maneuver, but no, this is not a drop. We are pushing everything through the center of the map. This I can get behind. This I can get behind. This has been spotted by the Phoenixes back at home. We're getting ready. We're amassing a lot of charge lots. How many zealots in total? That's going to be 10 zealots here. We scan. We do get eyes on the army. Bunny is aware. The Widow Mines will assist when it comes to dealing with these charge lots. But is he going to be able to get in position? Widow Mines are forced to borrow. A good delay here from NightMare does force the siege, essentially. Phoenix is looking to dive in. I don't think Bunny's going to commit. I mean, he is posturing. He's threatening. But that's still a lot of zealots, and we're pushing in. Oh, my God. How good are the mine shots going to be? So far, pretty good. Some of them get baited out, though. The zealots are very softened up. Here comes some more mines. They do get lifted. Good control here out of NightMare. Lifting up those Widow Mines. But last, the kiting here from Bunny. Oh my God. Just kiting his heart out. Stutter stepping. Shuts down every single zealot, but we have more where that came from. We have another big warp in here on top of the ramp. We have a shield battery. We have an overcharge. And Bunny is going to back off. And he bled out quite a bit there. Looking at the battle reports, it was 14 dead zealots, 2 Phoenixes. The mines, oh my God, 14 dead zealots for around half the amount of Marines, but a good chunk of Widow Mines. Likewise, the Phoenixes forcing Bunny all the way back home. SCV going to be shut down, and NightMare will back off. The other big thing that I should point out here, as we compare both of these games, is that this time NightMare didn't harass with Adepts. He was taking a more defensive stance here, respecting Bunny quite a bit more. Charge shots being set up here towards the left-hand side. This time we did not invest into Storm. Bear that in mind. No Archons, no Storm. The Phoenixes! No! NightMare, no! He walks into the minefield as well, and he will barely escape with 1 Phoenix, but he lost so much in the process, and this will activate drop play. Again, there's only 1 Phoenix left. Very limited anti-air. Blink is done. I was about to point out that NightMare has kind of gone in a different direction tech-wise. Instead of going Charge Lot Archon into Storm, he's going Charge Lot into Blink Stalkers into Colossi. So NightMare has mixed up the follow-up. Or he has changed up the follow-up here as well. So they're getting a lot done. Oh, the friendly fire! 14 SCVs go down. The traitor mine. Not like this. Meanwhile, the drop across the map was deflected. And NightMare is looking a little more comfortable here this time. He's doing some consistent splash damage in these Colossi. Now Bunny, he has recognized the Colossus production, he has recognized the Colossus splash damage, and Viking production has started a lot sooner. So much earlier Vikings here from Bunny. He will begin to amass them. Ghost Academy is on the way, third base getting up and running. And it looks like the aggression has subsided. Has since subsided. Now we're up to critical mass. 3 Colossi have arrived. They've hit the field, and we do catch the army. But yeah, especially with these Link Stalkers. Going to be able to clean up this force. At the same time, Bunny pushing on the right-hand side. They're going to be able to delay that 4th. But only a delay, no cancel, no kill. And what I was getting at here with now 3 Colossi, we have the 2nd Robo and Disruptor production well underway for NightMare. Mine shots, they get baited out. A decent mine towards the end, but yeah, we are forcing this back. Bunny bleeding out a lot of units. Yeah, did a great job at delaying the 4th, but stuck around a little bit too long. Oof. Even some friendly fire with that Widow Mine. And Bunny, he's being hunted down here, bleeding out so much, does reinforce. But Bunny doesn't really have much momentum left here. He has some Widow Mines that are waddling in. there's potential. But the Observer has arrived. NightMare, he should be able to clean this up without losing anything. And Mine Shot's going to be going up. Goes for the scan, but out of range of the Observer. Cheeky move out of Bunny, hoping to snipe the Observer, but doesn't get it. Oh, it does actually. Just in time. Snipes it with those Vikings. But again, NightMare now has a supply lead. Something that he did not have in the last game. Nova's go! Oh my god, that was so close. Jesus. Bunny, calm down. Doing his best Beyond impression. The Nova going to be going up with all those crazy army of Bunny, taking down one of those Marauders. Behind this 4th CC is on the way. CC is on the way as NightMare going to be rotating around, still just continuing that Disruptor production. Just making sure he does have secure map control here. Bunny backing up, getting into Ghosts, of course getting to Vikings. Unfortunately, unlike the previous game, the drop play of Bunny hasn't been successful. He's been trying to go for some drops here and there, but NightMare has been doing a great job of keeping up. I do love that NightMare did kind of adapt over the course of this series and has been a lot more defensive throughout this entire 2nd game. He's been willing to kind of absorb these blows and absorb these attacks of Bunny instead of going for his own. Nova goes up. Novas they do go up. Did not connect. Whew. Double drop on the left-hand side, but they're at Colossi in position. This is what I mean. Again, NightMare, he's not really being active with his army. He's just chilling back at home, defending, and soon maxing out. So just a much more defensive outlook here in the 2nd game. And it is working out for NightMare quite well. Meanwhile, Bunny transitioning. We have a 2nd starport, Fusion Core. This is going to be for double Liberator production. All those libs. Nova goes off, takes down the Marauder. Amidst all this, NightMare taking a 5th. Maintaining his economic advantage. Observer has eyes on the main army. Likewise, the scan does reveal the main force of NightMare. Now, bearing in mind that NightMare doesn't have his Colossi with this, he has them back at home, so potentially Bunny could try to collapse on this position, recognizing that NightMare has half of his AoE and half of his splash damage. So Bunny's hoping to catch NightMare off guard. He's moving out, knocking down these rocks. Likewise, how many disruptors do we have? 5 disruptors. Stargate is on the way. It looks like NightMare is working on Skytoss. The late game PvT. He's getting there. So the way this dynamic works is that Liberators are ideal against ground toss, and they really shift momentum, they shift the dynamic in Terran versus Protoss, just because Liberators, they reign supreme. And what's the answer to libs? Tempest, Skytoss in general. That's where NightMare should be headed after the Tempest after the Liberators are revealed. do get a snipe on the 5th. Very nice pickup here from Bunny. NightMare going to try to hunt this down, but alas, he cannot engage. Good pickup so far from our Terran player. You can see NightMare trying to respond, but doesn't want to overcommit, doesn't want to get caught out. Very aware that he's vulnerable to a drop. And we're coming back in. We're going to kill already, and we get a cancel as well. Good pickups. Meanwhile, Fleet Beacon, 2 more Stargates, a +1 air attack is on the way. That Skytoss transition is on the horizon here. Meanwhile, the Novas, the Disruptors, big EMPs, and we snipe 1, 2, 3. Oh, some of the Novas will connect. Bold move here out of Bunny, but he will lose almost everything. There was some nice pickups initially, but out of 5 Novas, 2 of them did connect, and with that, Bunny is forced back. Now, what's important here is that those Disruptors aren't being rebuilt. And the reason for this is because of the Skytoss. NightMare, he wants to get into Carriers and Tempest, not waste his time with Disruptors, not anymore. So the ground army is going to be that much weaker. Liberators are on the way. And hopefully NightMare does go back into robot production once he does lose some of his supply. We'll see. Right now he's heavily reliant on a gateway army. Liberation zones have arrived, but is there enough freedom? So you pick up an Observer. Dark Shrine on the way. So far, NightMare trying to find a way in, but this is the power of Oceanborn. A lot of high ground here, a lot of points of elevation that we can't quite break through. Again, only 1 Disruptor, which means we can kind of A-move. We can just stim. The Colossi are a threat, don't get me wrong, but that's where the Vikings come into play. There it is. 4 Tempests. We're getting back into Disruptors, thankfully. That's something that we are sorely lacking in this army. Never goes up. Remember, only 1 Nova. More freedom has arrived. We have Tectonic Destabilizers on the way, which is a Tempest upgrade. Ooh, double drop on our hand side. We have denied this base twice already, and we're diving on this for a 3rd time. And that's going to be a kill. The army's racing back home. Because of the EMP, there is no recall. And the army is just too little too late. Too slow as the base goes down. The army's been dragged out of position. Bunny pushing on the left-hand side, looking to go for that center base. Tempests are revealed. Liberation zones are thrown down. Novas go up. Good dodges. And the Novas, they do not connect. We dive on top of the Disruptors, but it looks like we just don't have enough on the ground for Bunny. Yeah, not enough on the ground. The Gateway Army of NightMare pushes through. Bunny's in a lot of trouble. Again, maybe a little bit too cavalier there for Bunny to engage out in the open like that. Unsieged. He was trying to catch NightMare, but it looks like Bunny was the one that was caught out instead. Now, he did reset the Disruptor count. That is true. He killed every single Disruptor. But the Gateway Army is doing quite well here for NightMare. The Mass Charge on Stalker. We're pushing in. We snipe the Libs. And 1 by 1, Liberator's going to be going down. Bunny, he's just bleeding out too much of his bio. Coming in from the right-hand side, big EMP. He tries to focus down the Colossus. He gets 1. He's going to get the 2nd as well, but here come the reinforcements from NightMare. GG gets called. There's too much Protoss, and we are going to the ace match. GG. Let's go. NightMare, he does fight back, and we're going all the way to game number 3. Again, NightMare in game 1 was very aggressive, very much so in the face of Bunny, and he was punished for it. And it looks like NightMare kind of learned his lesson. We spoke about it at the time, but again, NightMare, he never really pushed into the bases of Bunny until the end of the game. Like, he was very much so only vying for map control and only really focused on his side of the map. Bunny was finding damage, don't get me wrong. He was eventually finding some drop harass and sniping a couple of bases here and there. But for the most part, throughout the entire mid-game, NightMare was in control. And NightMare was able to get to 4 bases quite easily, quite nicely. Solid economy, transition to Skytoss. NightMare had a lot more success, taking a more defensive stance here in game number 2. And now we'll see how both players adapt in game 3. You know, Bunny, I'm sure, is aware that his drop play wasn't as successful in that second game, and he's going to have to try to maybe calm things down a little bit, or again, take a different approach in the ace match. We'll see. We shall see a spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate. We have the South Korean Terran player, the red Terran representing Mystery Gaming. It is Bunny. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the blue Protoss player representing Matcherino Esports. Tying up the series 1-1, it is NightMare. Oh. My apologies. I just saw... sorry, I just saw in the chat that NightMare may be a part of Matcherino in game, but it looks like he has left the team. Sorry, I guess I missed that. I mean, I have been asleep for most of the day. Have been asleep, but it looks like, yeah, NightMare has been let go. It looks like with the conclusion of the WTL season of World Team League, NightMare is no longer on the team. So I will fix that. My apologies. As of a couple of hours ago, actually. Just saw 3 hours ago. Okay. So thank you for letting us know. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Just catching up. Also, Happy New Year's, of course. Happy New Year's, everyone that are filing in. As we are once again going for an economic opener out of Bunny. It is a Rax Expand, not tempted to go into a double gas opener, so again, we're going to be easing into the early to mid game from the side of the Terran. Meanwhile, NightMare has gone for very similar openers every single game. He's gone for Stargate Phoenix into Charge. Remember, in game 1, he went Storm. Game 2, went for something a little more defensive with the initial Colossi production. But it has been Phoenix Charge every game so far. At least initially. And we'll see if NightMare himself does decide to deviate. You know, Twilight Council openers into Blink Stalkers are very much so a thing, and there it is! We have the Twilight Council looking to be a Blink Stalker-based opener. NightMare is mixing it up. He's shifting gears here in the ace match, not allowing Bunny to get comfortable. Here we go. Adept's going to be rocking up, threatening the bases, threatening the mineral lines. Looking to shade into the mineral line here and deny any kind of mining at the natural. At the same time, Reaper slips across the map, does avoid the Stalker. Nice movement here out of Bunny. Avoids the Stalker, gets into the main base, and Bunny will get a full scout.
Base is under
Boys
attack.
are being pulled. He's getting, oh no! He's getting surrounded. He will barely scout the Twilight Council. Sees it researching. He's aware of Blink. Bunny was a little bit distracted there, back at home defending against the Adept. So he almost got surrounded. But clutch scout there from Bunny. So with this scout, he knows that he needs to get into tank production a lot earlier. We need tanks. We're going to invest into a single Widowmine. There we go, second Widowmine on the way. Hopefully we don't invest too much here. And tanks are going to be required depending on how aggressive this is. This could be 2-gate Blink into a third. This could be 3-gate Blink or even 4-gate Blink. And we can see an economic opener. Okay, so only 2 gateways here into a third, so NightMare not really being too aggressive. Meanwhile, Bunny is unaware. Bunny is still in the dark as to what is going on. He did lose his Reaper, still hasn't seen that third, but soon he will as he moves out with that Mind Drop. Upon seeing the third, he will recognize that he doesn't have to be too defensive here. There's that tech lab on the factory. As I mentioned before, if you do scout a Twilight Council opener, you have to get into tank production a lot sooner than normal. But once Bunny sees what's happening, like, he's gonna realize that okay, everything's chill and everything's gonna be pretty calm in the early game. So we already have eyes on that third. Mind Drop coming into the natural. Stalkers are in position. Widowmines will burrow. Up. One shot goes up. Decent connection. One shot for 3 probes. Pretty good stuff. And the medevac will escape. Blink is done, but 1 second too late here, as Bunny does get the hell out of there. And again, the important thing is that he scattered the third. Behind this is getting into his 3-1-1 setup. You can see he made 1 tank and has since, gotten out of tank production. He knows that he doesn't need an abundance of tanks. It's not necessary. He would if there were additional gateways and if we had a delayed third. But again, Bunny did piece it all together. Said we're getting into Ravens and into Interference Matrix. This makes sense. He's assuming that his opponent is going into Colossi, and he's not wrong. Colossus production has commenced. Accidental Lance is on the way, and Ravens can completely shut down Colossus base play. They have potential. As the Prism has arrived, NightMare going to be applying some pressure. Again, doesn't have a lot of gateways to reinforce, but looking for some SCV kills nonetheless. So dipping into the main. Getting a couple of SCV kills. We're being forced back. 2 SCVs and we haven't lost any Stalkers. Again, good control out of NightMare. See in the chat, that's sad. I hope it's his choice. Maybe he wants to slowly move on with his life. I'm pretty sure NightMare does intend to continue to compete. We'll get into it after the aggression does end. Getting another 2 SCVs, 4 in total. Not losing anything, by the way. Really nice control here at a NightMare. But for those that are wondering, there are some teams out there, Matcherino Esports included, that do bolster their roster specifically for World Team League. If you're unfamiliar, then I highly recommend checking out the VODs. We do cast World Team League on a weekly basis. It is basically like the team league of StarCraft, and you do require 3 players to compete. But the season is coming to an end, and the playoffs for this season of WTL are starting this week, and Matcherino didn't make it to the playoffs. So most likely NightMare was only a part of the team for their WTL run. Their WTL run has ended, and Matcherino will most likely look for another substitute player in the upcoming season of World Team League, and that's still a couple of months away. So I'll be honest, like, even though Matcherino did end up dropping NightMare and NightMare is now teamless, they will have NightMare will probably have an opportunity to join another team in the next season of WTL. As he's definitely a strong enough player to be worthy of a team. As we do have the Marine drop in the main base. Doesn't get too much damage done. Shield battery was done. We had the overcharge as well. NightMare does hold, but Bunny is pushing. Now, we have already hit critical mass. 3 Colossi. This is a hefty army here from NightMare. But as we mentioned before, we have Ravens. We have Disables available. As long as we keep that Raven alive, we can disable those Colossi and have a good fight. Go for the Raven. The Stalkers at Evan. We get the Disable on the Prism. The Raven does go down. A tank is sieged. And Bunny, this is not the fight he wanted to take. Not here, not in the center of the map. Get some big losses for Bunny. He lost his tank, he lost his Raven, lost a good chunk of bio. And GG gets called. Bunny knows the writing was on the wall. That was a disastrous fight. And NightMare will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. That was a really rough moment there. Just getting caught out, not where he wanted to be. And yeah, NightMare just capitalizing on that. Bunny was building up so much for that eventual push, and yeah, things just took a turn for the worst for our Terran player. Congratulations to NightMare. My condolences to Bunny, but a good series nonetheless. Really solid matches, really impressive performance. Did get knocked out in the first round, but that just goes to show how brutal ESL Open Cup is. ESL Open Cup Asia, the best of the best in Korea, do duke it out, and yeah, these rounds, even the early rounds, are not easy. They are not easy.